everyone is so attractive. To be honest, it actually seems like she's been really going through it, but I just have this feeling in my gut. I think parasocial relationships are more relevant now more than ever. Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Meg It Makes Sense. I'm Meg, and on this podcast, I like to make sense of different things. This week's episode, we're making sense of parasocial relationships and then just all my recommendations that I have for you guys. I also obviously have an apology to make to you guys, but we'll get into that in the episode. Let's get into it. Guys, I am so sorry that this has come out so late. I'll tell you why. So last week I was sick, and then towards the end of last week, I just completely lost my voice. Like I couldn't even teach. I just completely lost it. And I wasn't sick, but I just couldn't speak. And then at the end of last week, Saturday, Sunday, I went to the Gold Coast for my friend's birthday, which I'll get into. And then I was just going through my own personal issues. So literally today has been the only day that I can record it. So I'm literally recording the episode and then I'm putting it out the same day. So you guys are getting real-time life updates, events. My plan was to record these episodes in advance. Well, which I have been doing up to this point. It's just like the past 2 weeks have been actually just cooked because I've been sick, and then I've had just like shit going on in my personal life when I haven't really felt up to recording. But anyway, that's fine. We're getting on with the day. We're moving past it. We're fine. You can kind of still hear it in my voice that I am a little bit sick. I will catch up on my weekend. So I went to my friend Paige's birthday, her 24th birthday. She probably will kill me for saying her age. I don't know why. I kind of touched on this in the last episode. For some reason, we're so young, but we feel so old, and we're literally only 24. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that because I could talk about that all day. So we went to the Tropic, which is the restaurant that is attached to like the Burleigh Pav. And now the Burleigh Pavilion is just like a venue on the Gold Coast that's in Burleigh. And it's like right on the hill and it overlooks the beach and the ocean. We actually saw whales, which is pretty cool. But I feel like people have mixed opinions on the Gold Coast. I think, when people think of the Gold Coast, they think of like surfers paradise, like tacky, tan, blonde, men on steroids vibes. But when I think of the Gold Coast, I don't think of that at all, honestly. Like I booked accommodation for 2 nights because because I'm on holidays now, I'm on school holidays, and I just wanted to enjoy the beginning of my holiday. I think that the people that I saw on the Gold Coast anyway, it seems to me like they're all just working on themselves. Like people were up at 6 a.m. going for runs, going for coffees, then they were laying by the beach, and then they're doing XYZ, like I didn't really see any of that like surfers paradisey. Well, I didn't go into surfers paradise, but I didn't feel that. I just felt like, sorry, I'm jumping around topics, but there's actually really nice houses going up and really nice like buildings, and I don't find them tacky at all. And when we went to the Burleigh Pav, like all the girls were like dressed so nice, the men were just dressed so nice. And there was I don't think there's no tacky element to it. I actually thought it was really classy and lovely. Maybe not classy. Maybe I'm taking it a bit far there. But also in that same breath, everyone is so attractive. Like if you're a Brisbane 9, you're a Gold Coast 7. Like, do you know what I mean? Not that that matters. I just feel like we went into the Tropic, and then that was fine. Then we went into the Burleigh Pav and I was like, holy shit, everyone here is so attractive, honestly. Like I've almost made me feel a little bit insecure. I mean, you really shouldn't be basing your worth off looks, but if you go to the Gold Coast, you'll understand what I'm saying, where everyone is so attractive. I think from people that I've met from the UK, at least, they always say this to me when they come to Australia. They're like, holy shit, everyone is so attractive here. And I think it's just because generally we have a better lifestyle. Like people wake up, they go to the gym, they go for runs. Like what I was just talking before. Our social activities are usually revolved around exercise and doing things like that rather than just like going to the pub. And obviously it helps that we get more sunshine. Because I booked the 2 nights and I ended up staying in Mermaid, which is Mermaid is alright. Like it's definitely getting, Mermaid is a little bit surface paradisey, but it's not like the Broad Beach surface paradise of it all. And I just booked the 2 nights accommodation because I wanted to have a day to myself where I could just go to the beach, go for a walk, get a coffee, do all those really nice things. I was like really depressed on that day that I had to myself just because of personal things going on. But I ran into a friend who she's lived everywhere. Like she's lived in LA, she's lived in Miami, she has lived in Brisbane, and she just moved to the Gold Coast. And she was like, I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. And I was like, low-key, should I move to the Gold Coast? Although I think it's just a bit too quiet for me. And I think the whole like beach thing, walking thing would actually probably get a bit old, to be honest. Like I like the hustle and bustle of the city, even though Brisbane is like really not hustling and bustling, but we have like lots of really nice restaurants and stuff at the moment. That's just my take on the Gold Coast. I feel like everyone has a different experience. And my friend Paige that has moved there, she moved there for work. She is just loving it. She's waking up for sunrise walks and, the things I just said before, like going for walks, going for runs, like being fit and healthy, getting vitamin D, all that. And I don't know if you can notice if you're watching this, maybe not if you're listening, obviously, but I do have a little bit of tan. I feel like this time of the year is the best time of the year to get out in Queensland anyway, because as soon as it hits December, January, it's pretty much storm season. Like it's pretty much, you never know when it's going to be raining, when it's going to be storming, cyclones, floods, bushfires, all that kind of stuff. Where I feel like right now we're in September, or end of September. What's the month that comes after September? October. September, October, you're safe. Like the sun is out, there's still a light breeze, but you're not getting all those like thunderstorms, etc. Okay, so this week's Make It Make Sense is something I'm going to dive into a little bit more about because it's actually something I'm really passionate about. Make it make sense, parasocial relationships. I'm going to talk about this in an extent to where parasocial relationships could be the relationship you have with, like, I don't know, Taylor Swift or Justin Bieber, like people that are complete celebrities. Parasocial relationships can also go to people that you went to school with and you haven't seen in 7 years' time, but you just have this like parasocial relationship with them and like a preconceived idea about them. Like I'm sure I have a parasocial relationship with so many people, and I'm sure so many people have a parasocial relationship with me. I find it so interesting. I'm going to read the definition of parasocial relationship. A parasocial relationship is a one-sided bond a person forms with a media figure, such as a celebrity or influencer, which is unaware of their existence. While these relationships can provide positive benefits like increased belonging and reduced loneliness, they can also lead to negative outcomes such as intense emotional investment, obsessive behaviors, or unhealthy self-comparisons. I know that just said media figures, but I truly believe that we can have parasocial relationships with people that we don't know. For example, it really hit me hard on Sunday that I've been going through something and I feel like everyone knows my business, and not in a way of like, oh my God, everyone knows who I am, because that's just not the case, because I know that's not true. But it's in the way that Brisbane is so small and people just talk, and people obviously could not care less and probably aren't talking about me, but I just have this feeling in my gut that I'm like, oh my God, everyone knows everything that I'm going through. Everyone knows like everything. Because obviously we want to project the best we want to project the best versions of ourselves, like specifically on social media. And I just have this constant feeling that everyone knows my business when I'm trying so hard to mask my struggles and my issues, if that makes sense. And the reason I say this is because even at the Gold Coast on the weekend, like me and my friends, we're sitting around talking. And of course, we're women, you know, we did have like lots of banter, which is great. And I love that. But a lot of our conversation tends to go back into almost like gossiping about people. And I had a moment where I was like, wow, the gossip we're talking about, I actually don't even really know this person that we're talking about. And then I thought, okay, how many people are like saying all these things, like throwing things out about me that completely aren't true, or they don't know that are true based on evidence and facts? And to me, that's a parasocial relationship. It's because like, oh, I haven't seen this person in 5 years since I went to school with them. And all of a sudden we're talking shit about them and we don't know what they're going through. We only see what they're doing on social media. So I think a parasocial relationship can go that far. I myself have a parasocial relationship with so many people that I've never met. And I just have these like preconceived ideas about who they are as a person, you know. And I think part of that can be your own fault in terms of like, you have people have parasocial relationships with you depending on what you're putting out and what you're giving them. You know, if you're, you know, replying to a comment being like, if you're replying to a comment where someone's like complimented you and you're being like, thanks, love you so much. Like, how do you know that they're not perceiving that in a way that's like, oh, they do love me? You know what I mean? I think, you know what, as well, I've seen this with my girlfriends. I've seen my girlfriends have parasocial relationships with guys that they've only just spoken to on, you know, Hinge or Tinder or Instagram direct message or whatever. You know, they have this parasocial relationship with this guy and they create this person to be the person that they want this person to be, if that makes sense. They build this person up to the version that they is right for them. And then they just get disappointed by these men. I think men in general are just disappointing. No offense, this is not a man-hating podcast, but like just in general, like I feel like they do disappoint us. And guys can do the same with girls, especially with like the Instagramification of it all being like, this girl's so hot, blah, blah, blah. And then they meet and they're actually not who they were online, or they're not who they thought they could be. And it's actually kind of just that, you know, that little bit disappointing. I think parasocial relationships are more relevant now more than ever. And I'm going to give you guys a really niche example, okay? So I'm going to get into this because this episode's all about like my recommendations and stuff, but I just need to talk about parasocial relationships first. I follow this influencer and I have for the longest time. Like I have a parasocial relationship with her myself where I'm like, maybe I'm a little bit too obsessed with everything that she does. And, you know, every like makeup product that she tries, I want to try it. Or like every holiday that she goes on, I'm like, oh, I want that to be me. But anyway, this influencer's name is Ruby Lynn, right? And she went on a holiday with Central C. Now, if you know the lore of like Central C, Maddie, what's her name? Madeline Argy. Madeline Argy basically and Central C were dating and then they broke up. Now, I've only ever seen one photo of Madeline Argy and Ruby Lynn sitting together at a runway show. I'm not an expert on their relationship, but that's all I've seen. Now, Central C and Ruby Lynn went on a vacation together with a group of friends. Like, there's no posts suggesting that they're in a romantic relationship. Maybe they are, who knows? But everything just seems very platonic and they're just like two good looking people. Obviously, he's famous, she's famous. But they're with a bunch of friends, right, on this trip. She's posted TikToks, Instagrams, like everyone in the group has posted like Instagram photos of them all hanging out. Her comments are literally her just being so bullied by Madeline Argy's fans, saying like, how could you do this to Madeline, like, you guys were friends, Madeline's so much prettier than you, Madeline's such a better person than you, like, to a point where I can tell Ruby Lynn has had to restrict her comments. Now, if that is not the craziest parasocial relationship, I don't know what is. Because people have taken it upon themselves to defend Madeline and bully Ruby Lynn because of an assumption that Central C and Ruby Lynn are dating, which there's no evidence to back that up. Or maybe there is, I don't know. Who even cares? And also Central C, no offense, like, we've heard about everything he's done. He's not exactly the best guy in the world. But anyway, this isn't my thoughts on this situation. This is just my thoughts on parasocial relationships, where how can people believe that they are so connected to a content creator that if they see another influencer hanging out with her ex-boyfriend, they need to go and tear the... Like, why aren't we tearing Central C apart? Also, by the way, it's just the way the society works, I know, which sucks. Why are we tearing down this beautiful person, Ruby Lynn, who I love? Shout out Ruby Lynn, you know? And if you know that lore, it's just really interesting to follow along. And even Olivia Neal, Ruby Lynn's best friend, people are like tearing her down as well. And these girls, honestly, in my opinion, are just living their best lives, and they're, you know, going on holidays and doing whatever they want to do. It's so weird. And I just think because as content, well, I'm not going to say as content creators, because I'm not really there yet. These people as celebrities and content creators and influencers, they feed the audience what the audience wants. And the audience is just constantly like eating it up, if you will. And then it gets to a point where you've just fed them so much that they feel like they have this relationship with you where it's like ride or die. They feel like your best friend. You know, people talk about this all the time. Like when they're giving influencers feedback, it's like, oh, I just feel like I'm on FaceTime with my best friend. Like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? You know, even Australian influencers, like who gets attacked a lot in the media? Tammy Hembrow, for example. Tammy Hembrow, like, people feel the need to comment on everything she has done in her life, or like everything she's doing, because she's in the public eye and she feeds the audience what they want. And then they just take. And then they build this parasocial relationship. And then it ends up biting her in the ass. Well, I don't know if it bites her in the ass because, you know, she gets in the Daily Mail and who knows if she likes that. But to be honest, it actually seems like she's been really going through it. And I just don't know when it gets to a point when parasocial relationships can really affect people both ways. They can really affect people who have the parasocial relationship, and it can really affect the person who's unaware of the parasocial relationship. You know, you see it every day. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I listen to a lot of true crime where like these men build this relationship with, I'm going to generalize and say women, build this relationship with women that they don't know, and they become obsessive and they stalk them, and then the woman will say, hang on, I don't like you, and then they'll end up like murdering them or something. Like dare I say, the Idaho thing. I actually don't know too much about it, so I don't want to talk about it too much, but I'm pretty sure what happened was like this guy was rejected by one of these girls, so then he's gone and just killed them all. And there is like no regulation on the internet that can stop people from doing certain things. And people can only restrict their comments so much. Like, what, you're going to turn off your comment section every single thing that you post? No. I'm struggling to understand how people can build a parasocial relationship to the point where they become obsessed and they feel the need to stand up for people, and they feel the need. And I'm jumping everywhere, guys, because I'm so ADHD when it comes to all this. But even the Selena Gomez and Hailey Bieber thing, people were attacking Hailey Bieber for her literally just falling in love and living her life. And it got to a point where like Selena Gomez had to step in and say, hey, everyone needs to stop. Like, you don't need to stand up for me. Everyone needs to stop the bullying. I feel like she left it too long before it got to that point. But she had to stand up and say, hey, everyone needs to stop bullying this woman because we're actually fine. Like, you guys have created this full-on beef between us, and yeah, there was a history. And I mean, why am I talking on behalf of Selena Gomez right now? But yeah, we had this history, but it's the social media of it all have just escalated it and gotten it to a point, because you guys all have this parasocial relationship with Selena Gomez and Hailey Bieber, that you've just built all this shit up, and like, you've turned these two women against us, a tale as old as time, and now we are having mental health issues because you're like in our comments telling us that like one of us is pretty, one of us is not, one of us is better than the other, one of us is not. You're telling us to go kill ourselves because of XYZ. Make it make sense. That got really intense for a second. I could actually talk about parasocial relationships all day. Guys, make it make sense, honestly. We need to get onto something a little bit more lighthearted. So let's get into my recommendations. This podcast is going to be all about my favorite things, so let's just get into it. Let's get lighthearted over here. Let's talk. I love that my tone of voice has just immediately like dropped. All right. First recommendations is podcasts. Obviously, I was super inspired by podcasts that I listen to start my own. My Ride or Die podcast. I listen to it every single day. Sometimes I'll go back and listen to episodes I've already listened to. Obviously, you guys know the whole lore. Well, maybe you don't, but the lore of like Happy Hour with Lucy and Nikki. They didn't have a Queensland show planned. So basically what I did was I made a TikTok where I messaged them and I said, how many likes to get a Queensland show? And they replied like, oh, I can't even remember what they replied with. Like 1,000 likes and a comment from Anthony Albanese, who, if you're not from Australia, that is the Prime Minister of Australia. And we did it. We actually did it. Like, everyone rallied. All the punters rallied, commented. And yeah, I can only dream of having a support system like that one day. They're so entertaining. They're so relatable. They're so hilariously funny. So Happy Hour with Lucy and Nikki is my number one favorite podcast. My other favorite podcast is actually an American podcast called The Giggly Squad. And it's Hannah Berner and Paige DeSorbo. And they were both on the show Summer House, which is like a Netflix series. And now Hannah Berner is a comedian and Paige DeSorbo is just living her best life, I guess. But they have a podcast. It's called The Giggly Squad, but it literally does make me giggle every single time I listen to it. It's so funny, and the way they riff off each other is really good. So if you're looking for a lighthearted, like, it's almost like pop culture. They talk about things like happening in pop culture, just like comedy banter. Like, imagine you're having it, when you're having a riff off with your, not like the Pitch Perfect, but when you're having a just banter with one of your friends and you have bits. This is like what they do essentially, and it's so funny. They're kind of like the American version of Happy Hour with Lucy and Nikki. Another American podcast I love is Hallie Batchelder's Extra Dirty. She's just so casual. She's a bit more like me. I mean, I don't get into like all that like sexual stuff that she does, but in terms of tone of voice, I definitely feel that I'm a bit more like that, like a bit chill. Maybe you guys don't agree, but a bit more chill, just kind of like shooting the shit, like talking about literally nothing. I obviously love Hotter Than Yesterday by Sam Guggs and Hear Me Out by Izzy Armitage. I loved their podcast Just for Girls when they were together. Bit sad that they're not doing that together, but I still listen to both their podcasts individually. I love Jake Shane Therapist. He had, what episode was I listening to the other day? I was listening to his episode with Dylan O'Brien, and it was so funny because I feel like Jake Shane really like, he's authentically himself, but he always does kind of mold to whoever the guest is. And Dylan O'Brien is just so cut and dry that he'll just say no. And I feel like everyone can relate to Jake Shane because of the way he expresses his anxiety and his stress about things, and he's just authentically funny. And then the last podcast that I'm going to recommend, oh my God, Can you guys hear how nasally I am? The last podcast I'm going to recommend is Brooke and Connor Make a Podcast. Again, it's just like banter between two people, just really funny. I like to listen to things that are just really lighthearted and not taking life too seriously, although I just went on like a 20-minute tangent about parasocial relationships. I actually don't, someone said that my podcast reminded them of Emma Chamberlain's podcast, which I actually don't listen to her podcast because it's just so serious sometimes. I know that is a popular podcast to listen to though, so I will take that as a compliment. I also used to be obsessed with, like, going back to Ruby Lynn and Olivia Neal, I used to be obsessed with Olivia Neal's podcast, but then she stopped it, unfortunately, and now she's just doing YouTube videos. But I was literally obsessed with that podcast. I would, again, like the Happy Hour with Lucy and Nikki, I was so obsessed with it to the point where I'd listen to like old episodes over and over again just to like listen to her talk about things because I thought she was so funny. All right, I'm going to stay within this realm. So I'm going to talk about who are my favorite content creators and who are my favorite influencers. Now, there is a difference between content creators and influencers, and I don't care what you say. There's a huge difference to me. Content creators for me are just people that I find are entertaining, people who entertain me. Influencers, however, yes, they make content, but they're people that influence me to do things, to buy this, to go to this spot. So I actually think there's a huge difference in my opinion. I'm going to give you 3 content creators because I'm only really into these 3 at the moment. My number 1 is Quinn Blackwell. If you don't know who Quinn Blackwell is, she's an American content creator. She was in the Charlie XCX 365 Party Girl music video, and she is hilarious. She originated on Vine, so she started with like all that Vine comedy. She has a YouTube series called Feeding Starving Celebrities. It used to be Feeding Starving Influencers, but then she like expanded. She just has people on and like she makes food with them, and she's just so funny and they always riff off. She always does videos like reacting to different content on the internet, and then she also does things which I actually want to get into a bit more, where like she went to a Comic-Con, she went to a Renaissance fair, and she gets mic'd up and she just goes with people to these things, and it's hilarious. I want to start doing that, so let me know if you guys are into that. Definitely. She's mainly on YouTube, but of course, like every other content creator influencer, she posts on Instagram and TikTok as well. My next favorite content creators are the Misfit Minds. If you don't know the Misfit Minds, they're Australian YouTubers. Sorry, I'm literally smiling just thinking about them because they make me cringe so hard, but in the best way. They pretty much are a prank channel, but their pranks are really niche. Like the funniest one they've done recently is they go to a small country town pub and they'll pour shit beers and like they'll try and serve it to these like, obviously these men that go to the pub every single day. They have a specific beer that they like and they just pour it like really foamy, and it's so funny. Or another one that they did, what was it? Oh, they went to this, what's the town called? They went to this really small town in Australia, and they went there and basically pranked the town that there was going to be a huge like 5-level McDonald's being built by a Chinese company. And the people of this town like rallied together and were like protesting against it. Anyway, they do YouTube, but they post their clips to obviously TikTok, Instagram. They're hilarious. One of the guys has this character called Rossi. The guy that plays the character is I'm assuming he's like 25-year-old straight man, but the character he plays is almost like this 40, 30-year-old gay man, and he does it so well. Sometimes these boys can teeter the fence on like what is okay and what is not, but I personally just find them really funny. And my last content creator, of course, is Italian Batch. I feel like he doesn't need a shout out because he's so popular at the minute, but he's my comfort person. I'll just put him on and watch
his YouTube videos, reacting to things. I love when he is in other people's videos. I think he's even 10 times funnier in other people's videos. So like that whole group of like British content creators that is in, I like it, but specifically him. Next is influencers I really like. I'm kind of just going to list them off. Obviously, I really love Ruby Lynn, Olivia Neal. I mentioned that before. I love Lily Chi. She posts YouTube vlogs and just like her, Olivia Neal and Ruby Lynn are just all really, it's just like they're just effortlessly cool girl vibes. You know what I mean? It doesn't come across like they're trying at all. They just are cool. They just are hot. They just go to like all these cool events. They just go to all these cool events. So love them. More Australian ones is Molly Cook. I watch all her YouTube videos. Sofa Dofa. I'm a big fan of her YouTube content. Francesca Blundell. I think I said that right. She is up and coming, but she is also more, she's getting into more her YouTube vlogging and stuff like that. I'm really into that. Again, effortlessly cool girl vibes. Like, she is just like the epitome of a Melbourne girl, in my opinion. Of when I think of a Melbourne girl, like that's who I think of. Jade Chang, I love. She is, her and her mum make videos together and they're hilarious. It also helps that I guess I just like rich people. I don't know if that sounds really pretentious, but she is obviously really rich. So she goes on like bougie holidays. She has like a really bougie house. She dresses really well. On top of that, she has a great personality, which I think is like the best thing ever when people can be rich, hot, and hilariously funny. I'm going to group these two together. I love Riley Hempson, who is the Remy girl, and Jazz Hand, who's the Jazz Handmade girl, and their teams, of course. If you don't know, go look up Remy by Riley on TikTok and the Jazz Handmade girls on TikTok. But separately, I like Riley's YouTube vlogs and Jazz Hand's YouTube vlogs as well. She posts every week. Listening to myself talk about this, I am just a big fan of people who make YouTube vlogs content, which is again why I've gotten into it a bit more. I've started posting vlogs. I'm going to post one this week after this podcast comes out of my Gold Coast trip, but I did have to abruptly finish it because I was just going through something mentally. And I think, you know, some of these girls post things every single week. And honestly, I think kudos to you because my mental health is up and down at the moment. But I don't know if I could post a YouTube vlog every single week because sometimes I really do not feel like getting the camera out and posting. Okay, so those were my podcast content creators and influencers. Okay, let's get on to something else if you're like, I don't care about influencers or content creators. Let's get into my makeup recommendations. I'm only going to list off a few things just so that we're not here all day. But first of all is the Westman Atelier contour stick. I actually got gifted it, but it's so smooth and creamy, and I use it as a contour and it works perfectly. I don't know why I've never used a contour stick in the past. Actually, I have. I've used contour sticks in the past, but nothing is quite as creamy and smooth as this. I'm not sure how much it is because I did just get gifted it. But once I run out, I will be running back to Mecca to go get some more. The Laura Mercier setting powder. I saw someone say that they hated this the other day. And I was like, really? Why? To be fair, I haven't tried any other setting powders. But the Laura Mercier one, just like, I feel like I've posted a TikTok before of me one eye with the Laura Mercier powder and one eye without. If you want me to do that again, I can. Because I feel like my eyes are really sunken in and the difference that there is between with it and without it is huge. I am still looking for a good lip combo, please. So if you guys have any recommendations yourself, please drop them in the comments. Give me recommendations. Specifically a lip combo because I don't know what I'm doing. I use the Charlotte Tilbury, I don't know what shade it is, but I use a Charlotte Tilbury lipstick. It's good. It doesn't really last all day. And it's kind of just like a more of a nude, like basic lip color. But I need a good lip color. Oh, I can't fucking speak today. I need a good lip combo. Next, the Fenty foundation. Oh my God. It's my ride or die. I will never, ever, ever use another foundation. That was strong. Maybe I will try another foundation, but the Fenty one is just honestly that good. I think it's Fenty foundation. I actually don't know what it's called. Illuminous something or flawless something. Yeah, the Fenty foundation is really good. The Charlotte Tilbury bronzer, amazing. I've been using it honestly for like a year and I still haven't run out of any product, and I don't think I will. I mean, obviously your makeup goes off, so I will have to buy some more. It is the perfect shade for me, and I can't tell you what shade it is because I have no idea. I can't remember, but it goes perfectly with the Westman Atelier contest stick as well. And personally for me, I just like a powdered bronzer because I feel like it stays on my face better, but then the cream contour stick works for me. And last but not least, the Rare Beauty Liquid Blush. I have used a lot of Rare Beauty products. I do get sent Rare Beauty PR, but the liquid blush is by far the best product. You do have to watch that you don't put too much on, but it just blends out so lovely and it gives you that real like sun-kissed look without going overboard. So I really like that. Those were my makeup recommendations. Please, I'm still looking for good makeup, so if you guys have recommendations on that, just please comment them down below. Skincare. I'm not going to go into too much. I only have 3 recommendations. My first recommendation is just all the Japanese skincare that I use. If you haven't seen what Japanese skincare I use, just go onto my TikTok and go watch it. I went to Japan and I just wanted to try naturally all the Japanese skincare. And honestly, I don't know if I can go back to using what I used to beforehand because it's just so good. Bio oil. I don't know what bio oil does, but it like regenerates the skin or something. I don't really know. I use it every second night and I feel like every time I wake up in the morning after using it, it's just like reset my face and I don't break out from it. It just creates like a real smooth, even plump consistency on my face. And every morning that I wake up after using it, my skin feels so good. And I use it on Mackenzie every second night or every time that he's staying over when I'm using it as well. And he loves it. My third and last skincare recommendation is the Biodance Collagen 3-hour face mask. Honestly, girls, I know it's like $40 and you get 4 face masks, but that's like $10 a face mask. If you aren't using it, what are you doing? Again, it hydrates my face in a way that I just can't even describe. I think I look back to photos of myself 2 years ago when I wasn't really into skincare, and I can just tell my face looks so dry, and like I would rather get a few more blackheads. I don't really get pimples, but I would rather get a few more blackheads and stuff like that and have like thick, moist, hydrated skin than super dry skin with no blackheads. All right, we're just going to quickly list off brands that I like, clothing brands. I'm going to list off all the Australian ones first, okay? 5 by Flynn, Mr. Winston, Seeing Double, Mode Mischief, Temptation Vacation, Jagger and Stone. Those are the best Australian brands. If you have other brands, please let me know. 5 by Flynn, Mr. Winston, Mode Mischief, Jagger and Stone are just like really good for like, I feel like they have everyday wear, but they also have like elevated like cool girl outfits. And I feel like Australians just know how to do it, to be honest with you. Seeing Double is owned by Hallie Newman and Maddie Newman. I don't know, but they're Hallie and Maddie on TikTok. They do like really funny skits. Maddie is an AFLW player and Hallie makes clothes. She like flips clothes, and their hoodies are the best hoodies I own, to be honest. Every time I'm looking for a comfy hoodie, I put that one on. Non-Australian brands that I like is Jaded London and Motel Rocks. I know people have like iffy experiences with Jaded London, but I think you can't deny that their pieces go viral all the time and like everyone wants to wear their pieces. Motel Rocks are just really good for like your basics that are kind of on trend. Like for me right now, it's like the midi skirts and the tank tops that I'm loving, or like the sheer outfits are really in, or like polka dots. Circling back to Jaded London, I just really like them for their trackies mostly. I'm going to lump all these together, but obviously I have to recommend White Fox, Pepper Mayo, Princess Polly, purely for the fact that they're just so easy to buy from. Like, you'll buy from them and then you'll pretty much get your package the next day, like if you need an outfit for the weekend. And they always have, like, you'll always find something that you like on there, in my opinion. They always have like things on trend, which is great. So those are my brand recommendations. Okay, last thing I'm going to recommend is just spots in Brisbane, okay? So first of all, we got Ray's, which is in Camp Hill. Also, I'm from South Brisbane. Shout out Southeast Brisbane. Not South Brisbane as in like Logan, but I live in like that inner like Southeast Brisbane area. And I know we have like a bit of a feud between North Brisbane and Southeast Brisbane, south of the river, north of the river, if you will. So most of my recommendations are going to be South Brisbane just purely because it's better, to be honest. Side note, I hate the roads in North Brisbane. I hate the roads, even in areas like Indooroopilly and stuff. I hate the roads are so small and like hard to drive around in. It honestly feels like I'm in a whole new city when I go to that side of the river. Anyway, back to my recommendations. Ray's is in Camp Hill. It's like a wine bar, but they do cocktails and they have really good food. So Ray's. Officer's Mess is in New Farm. It's next to the Merthyr Bowls Club, which I also am going to recommend. Officer's Mess is a really good place to get coffee on a Sunday morning with friends, and you can sit in beanbags and just overlook the river. I believe it used to be an event space, but it no longer is. They do need to work on their customer service because you do have to line up for a while to order. But they have really good food and it's just a vibe, honestly, like sitting out there. I know that they do an afternoon thing, but I am yet to go there for like drinks or anything like that. Obviously, in that same breath, Merthyr Bowls Club is just a bowls club. Obviously, in Australia in general, we just love a bowls club on a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon. And the Merthyr Bowls Club has to be the best one in Brisbane because you can overlook the river at the same time. And they do have really good food. Bellissimo or Darvella on Oxford Street, they're next to each other. Bellissimo is just a cafe. And I think it's a little bit more expensive, but oh my God, they have this Reuben sandwich that I get every single time I go there. And the coffee is unmatched. Like, the coffee is beautiful there. Darvella is more your pastries and that kind of thing. But I got a Kinder Bueno hot chocolate from there the other week. And it was the best thing I've ever had in my whole life. And again, when you're just in those two cafes, it's just really nice, like family energy. Some restaurants I love is Same on James Street. Me and my friends love to go there and just get the banquet, honestly. Julius, which is, I think, in Fish Lane in South Brisbane. And they have the best pizza. Every year, me and my family go there for me and my sister's birthday. And we get an Aperol, we get drunk, and we get some pizzas. The last thing I want to recommend is, honestly, like, I feel like everyone from Brisbane has done this, but it's a New Farm picnic with friends. So because it's a licensed area, you can actually go to New Farm Park and you can sit and drink. So it's really wholesome and fun to just go to New Farm Park, get a drink, get a charcuterie going, get a cheese platter going, and just sit there with friends. Okay, I've been rambling on for ages. I'm so sorry that this has come out so late, but those were my recommendations. Please comment down below what your recommendations are because I want to get out a little bit more. I want to get introduced to new things. And then also with the whole parasocial relationship thing, I just find it so interesting. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Give this podcast a like. Follow me on my socials at Make It Make Sense on Instagram. I am going to be starting a TikTok soon. Follow me on YouTube. I'm going to have a vlog coming out. Follow me on my personal Instagram and TikTok, Meg Hansen or Megan Hansen. Okay, I'm sick of shouting myself out. But thanks so much. And please stay tuned for next week's episode. Love you guys so much. Have a fabulous week.